Alright, so I started off with my standard build. Emergency measures, one's construction yard, barracks first, and then I proceeded to make 2 barracks here because I want to explore the map faster. And I then built a supply yard and a power plant. So standard, 2 barracks, 1 assault vehicle factory. Okay, so I trade 2 infantry on the spot, at the same time 3 coyotes. The purpose of this is for the infantry to first scout and collect the supplies. Meanwhile, the coyotes' purpose is to scout at the same time, kill the enemy scouts, preventing them from getting supplies. Okay, just your usual supply collection. See, notice how I used my infantry to charge the enemy base first. This is because I wanted to steal the supply caches they might get early on and deny them from getting those supplies. In that way, they won't get many supplies. See? There. Notice with 4 infantry how I managed to grab many supply caches. There we go. And that's the first enemy that reached the area. I almost screwed up collecting that resource cache, but okay. Right, that's it. Collect the supplies. The more units, the more infantry you have on the field, the more chances you have of collecting the supplies. That's what makes this important, because the more supplies you deny the enemy, the less likely he is going to attack you earlier. Here, I'm just checking out my enemy. I see him upgrade his headquarters, but he still has 2 supply yards. And then I see him build 2 barracks. No assault vehicle factory. And right here, I was actually thinking, maybe he is planning to do a infantry rush. So I just placed 1 infantry on different angles of his base in order to scout them later. And I immediately began upgrading my barracks so that I can produce snipers rapidly. Because right now, scouting based on the information I got from his base, I only saw him do barracks. So he's probably doing planning an infantry rush. So that's why I rapidly upgrade my barracks and hopefully produce snipers. Here, I made the error of not scouting this area because I think the enemy has already collected the supply caches right here, which is actually my mistake. I should have checked that area too. But who knows? Here, I try to scout the enemy again. Use the boost infantry scouting to increase the vision of the infantry, and here, this gave me a lot of information. 1, the barracks are upgrading. I did not see a vehicle factory, and the enemy has multiple enemy infantry, and that already gave it away. For me, that's more than enough information for me to indicate that the enemy is planning to do an infantry rush. So what I did, there, you can see me producing snipers and build sniper towers. Alright, here I'm still producing barracks. But I plan to build sniper towers as soon as possible. There, I want to stop the enemy from knowing what I am planning, so as much as possible, I use coyotes to scout the map and kill enemy scouts, which is very important. Here, the enemy is trying to scout me to see if I am prepared. So I'm going to do everything I can to deny that. And here, as you can see on the map, I have 2 infantries, and I plan to place them on forests near the exit of the enemy base. So when he attacks, I will know. There, see? I've put it on the 2 exits of his base. But since I know that there is a potential 3rd exit which I haven't explored yet, the dark part of the map, so later on, I'm planning to send a coyote to scout that area and watch his movement. Here, I'm just rapidly producing snipers. Alright, so here you see my combo. Armadillo, and I spammed snipers because he's using all infantry. I'm producing armadillos just in case he's planning to do a fortress infantry rush, because I'm not sure of what he's planning yet. So right here you can see my coyote scan the third potential exit of the enemy. So here, I want to see what his base looks like. I want an update. So here, what I did was simple. I placed the coyote there, and later on, I will activate vehicle scouting, and that itself gave it away. I know that he is planning to do a flame assault and heavy assaults rush. So yeah, that's not really a good idea for me. So here I just sacrificed my coyote in order to get more information, and he's already upgrading to HQ3 even though he still has 2 supply yards. So he's planning to outnumber me. So then and there, again, rapidly produce snipers, scout the enemy base using coyotes. I immediately replaced the coyote with another coyote because that's one of their main uses of the game. They are good at scouting. It's because they are fast and they provide enough vision for you to know what you're actually doing. Here, I'm building sniper towers because they are good against enemy infantry. Now, as you can see, I placed my barracks in a distinctive way which looks like a semi-wall. This is to partially block the enemy from fully getting into my base. I mean, I gotten this strategy from Starcraft where I use my... I forgot what that's called because I use some buildings to block the enemy. In this case, I applied that same strategy here where I'm scouting the enemy again. Knowing what units he has, I'm seeing a lot of flame assaults, heavy assaults, and regular assaults. There. You can really see the infantry build-up of this guy. I mean, look at him. Look at that. That's a lot of infantry. That's a lot of units. He isn't planning to attack yet, but I know he will attack very soon. I just have to be prepared and know when he will attack. So right now, I back out my coyote. No point in sacrificing it. Build a couple of gun towers just in case if I haven't seen the fortress. And monitor my 2 infantry units guarding the exits of his base. Because when the enemy will attack, he will pass this area. And when he passes that area, I will know. Again, that is why information is vital in this game. Here, I'm using the Armadillo's ability to plant mines. The mistake I made here was I used the regular 10 resource mines, which is applicable for both infantry and vehicles. In this case, the right thing I should have done here is plant lizard mines, which was anti-infantry. That was my error right here. But, nevertheless, don't forget to plant mines. And here, you see, the enemy is already starting to attack me. Even though my infantry is sadly discovered, it's a small sacrifice to pay. And here, I see that the enemy has also discovered one of my scouts. So right now, the potential routes of the enemy to enter or attack my base is on the center since he passed this way. So here, this is one of the potential entry and that's another potential entry. So I just need to know where the enemy will strike. So again, with multiple armadillos, I planted mines. Always use the abilities of your units. The upper entrance may be a potential way. However, seeing those infantry cross the two exits, it's most likely that he's not going to use that path. But regardless, I don't want to be complacent. And still, I placed a lot of mines. Now, here the enemy begins the onslaught. And since he's using all infantry there, the snipers were very helpful in killing multiple enemies at once. See? Notice how the barracks got destroyed first before the towers. I mean, even though they may not function as a wall, but still, that helped me buy a little time for me to produce more units and to kill some of the units. Here you can see me constantly moving my armadillos, never stopping them, in a way that they won't get destroyed easily. Here you can see they managed to reach my snipers hiding in the forest and successfully destroy them all. However, the enemy made a fatal mistake right here. If he managed to destroy my infantry barracks and that sniper tower, I would have been finished. However, he made the mistake of not prioritizing the proper buildings he needs to prioritize, right? So even though he's prioritizing the power plant, I can always do emergency boost, which gives me emergency electricity when needed. So as you can see here, my coyote is just cleaning the enemy infantry. And all he did was destroy 2 sniper towers, 2 barracks, and 1 power plant, which is not enough because I am still able to recover, nevertheless. So right now, my plan is simple. I want to counterattack. However, how can I counterattack if I don't have units? So here you can see me use my coyote to scout his base. And right now, the things that came to mind was simple. I know that if this goes on longer, I will eventually get defeated. And I don't want that. I need to find a way to counterattack. So here, the enemy is again trying to scout my base. I prevent him from doing that. Now he knows he can no longer enter from that side. And here, the enemy rapidly creates new units. And he even discovers my scout, which goes on a little bit deep. But this time, I discovered that he's trying to produce a first vehicle assault factory. Right now, I'm still keeping this infantry here for later uses. So here you can see me rebuild the sniper towers. Here, again, I rapidly produce barracks and rapidly upgrade them to produce again a bunch of snipers.
Dark for the sunrise, clouds for a blue sky, space for the traveling star. Strong from the inside, you're still my lifeline. I feel you wherever you are. The oak tree where I met you and the writing.
As you can see, I saw an enemy cyclone, and that made me panic quite a bit because right now I know that the enemy is trying to transition from infantry to cyclones. So I really needed to find a way to counterattack the enemy. So that's what's going on in my mind right now. So the only way to do so is to rapidly destroy his army and then attack. So here, upon seeing the cyclones, I immediately began to build this special vehicle factory. Porcupines will help me counter the enemy air units. At the same time, it can fire on enemy infantry effectively. So it works both ways. Here, I begin to build additional anti-air defenses. Here, I'm trying to scout the enemy again by sacrificing another set of coyotes. I thought that the enemy was actually transitioning to a cyclone spam, but then seeing this, he was still using infantry. So I know that those infantry may cost a lot of CP, so command points. So right now my idea is maybe the enemy has little cyclones and I still need to spam a lot of snipers. Common strategic mistake I made right here should have been upgrading my HQ. But I did not. Here you can see me again send another coyote to scout. Again, scouting is important. Information is vital. You need to know what your enemy is doing and what the enemy is planning. In that way, you can always do a counter strategy. At the same time, counter attack if possible. My goal right here was to scout the enemy and know what he is doing. There I see a couple of assault vehicle factories, barracks, anti-air, and 3 cyclones. Again, I know that the enemy is building a lot of anti-air defenses, which is actually also his mistake because he does not know that I cannot build an anti-air air units yet, such as dragonflies. So that was actually a mistake on his part. I know what his base looks like. He may know what my base looks like, which was during 10 minutes, but right now he has no idea what it looks like. This is what makes scouting more important. So right here, I start to build additional anti-air defenses. And right now, I have access to higher command points, which means more units for me. So I have more potential to counterattack. Again, since the enemy is still using infantry, I'm still spamming snipers. Again, I sent another coyote to scout the enemy. Here I made the mistake of not constantly moving my coyote. So, as a result, I actually killed it. Here, snipers and anti-air, porcupines and snipers. Since I have access to higher command points, that gives me the ability to have more units. Right now, I'm just waiting when the enemy will attack. Here you can see me produce a rifleman so that I will have another set of scouts to send the enemy because coyotes are starting to be a little bit of expensive to sacrifice. So here you can see my riflemen go out and scout the enemy. Here I see one cyclone. I thought this was just a scout. And then this happened. Another cyclone, 3 cyclones, and the enemy infantry. That gave me so much information. That's actually the mistake of the enemy. What the enemy should have done right there was prevent his army from attacking my scout. Instead, let that one cyclone finish off my riflemen. So because of that, I have the information that the enemy is going to attack real soon. So now, as you can see, I scouted the enemy base to see if he has any units defending the base. And I see that he does not. He only has a little, which gives me hopes that I can counterattack the enemy successfully. So right now, my goal is simple: defend the base and counterattack. So the enemy made the mistake of putting the cyclones early on. And here you can see, again, I used the barracks as a semi-wall and butchered the enemy infantry. Right now, I'm using infantry attack because most of the defenses are snipers. So they're not going to do, they are going to do most of the damage. So here, Porcupine gets picked off, but I see that the enemy no longer has cyclones, which makes them a bit useless. But then, because I have so many snipers, which destroy enemy infantry almost instantly, you can see that his army vanished. There, his army got destroyed. And I had one thing in mind. I know from the previous scouting that he does not have any units guarding the base. So let's fast forward. I began to do a counterattack. Here, do note that snipers are also a bit effective against cyclones. Here you can see my army march towards the enemy base because I know that he just spent a lot of resources and is slowly trying to transition. I am not going to do any more defensive strategies because if I do, I will lose in the late game. Here, kill the scouts. Don't let the enemy know I am attacking the base, but he probably has an idea that I am going to. So here, march, just keep on marching. Here, another set of cyclones, which gets easily destroyed by my snipers and my porcupines. Again, hit a lot of infantry and I have a lot of snipers. So easy pickings. He uses a lot of infantry, I have a lot of anti-infantry. So that in itself decides the game. Despite the fact that he has more infantry units than me, it's because my units counter his strategy. I managed to easily destroy and kill his army. Here. There. Notice how his units instantly drop. That's the power of counter strategy. Again, producing a lot of infantry when I have a lot of anti-infantry. Using my porcupines to tank the damage, and it was actually a good idea for the enemy to prioritize attacking my snipers here. And then I used, again, while I was attacking, I set up the rally point of my production units to the enemy base and started rapidly producing a lot of units. Here you can see the units starting to march towards the enemy base. Right now, the enemy thinks that I have no units left, which is a mistake. Again, constantly moving my there we go, constantly moving my armadillo so that it won't get hit easily. Here the enemy made a big mistake. He should not have built an airfield. He should have used this to produce more units to defend his base. And now that I saw that he is building an airfield, I know that he has little units defending his base. I know that these infantry right here are the only people defending the base. So if I can manage to kill them, it's most likely a win. So here, I successfully pick off the enemy infantry units. I used common production so that my production buildings rapidly produce units. And at this point, it's a guaranteed win. See? Because he used his resources to build that platform, that airfield, I know that he no longer has enough resources to build units that will defend his base. Here, just constantly produce, constantly build, constantly harass, constantly attack. See how much the snipers damage that building? Here, rapid production and rapid attack. Just hit them. There, that's 300 resources. And then he begins to build fortresses, which is actually a good idea. So immediately I use my armadillos to tank the damage from the fortresses, and the infantry, the snipers at the back to damage the fortress. Again, here, this time I have coyote so that I have good anti-infantry. Again, I'm using the porcupines and the armadillos to tank the damage. Here you can see me produce a lot of units. Here, my forces are starting to slowly overwhelm his base. As you can see, I always put my armored units forward and my infantry behind. Since a lot of people in this rank do not prioritize microwave, here the enemy cyclones begin to slowly attack my snipers, but thankfully a porcupine managed to save them in time. Pretty much at this point, it's a win. You see how much barracks he has? And building cyclones when I have anti-air and anti-infantry. Just micro. If your unit is low on HP, just put him on the back. pretty much that's a victory. Now, if you have comments, questions, suggestions, or even additional tips that I have not mentioned in this video, feel free to comment down below. Links to download the game and the official game Discord is in the description. And that's it for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Xeonexis over and out.